Welcome to Visionary Doc, where ambition meets purpose and self-discovery fuels transformation. Are you chasing success but feeling unfulfilled? Delve into the joys and jolts of high-achieving lives, and together, let's redefine ambition. It's time to strip away the pathological and embrace the potential. Join host Dr. Shez as we explore what it means to be a visionary of your own life.
Today, I'm excited to talk to Dr. Luke Rebenitsch. He's my friend, my mentor, and he has taught me a lot about ophthalmology and life. He's a refractive surgeon, and he's the owner of ClearSight LASIK Center with locations in Oklahoma City and Plano. So let's jump in, Dr. Luke. Before we get started, why don't you just maybe take a minute and tell us about yourself, who you are, and how you got into ophthalmology. Just tell us your story.
Yeah, well, Dr. Shez, it's great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to join you on this phenomenal new podcast. I think it's a great concept, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's funny. I can't believe that I'm no longer one of the new guys in ophthalmology. I am now at the end of my first 10-year period of the ophthalmology boards. I mean, I can't believe I've been doing. I've finished fellowship now 10 years ago, which is absolutely insane. So
Wow.
I'm now solidly into the beginning of the middle of my career, and I can't wait to see where we take this out.
Well, you don't look like it, so just to throw that out there.
Well, it's we'll have to check your eyes. But yeah, I'm the medical director and one of the owners here at ClearSight LASIK in Oklahoma City and Plano. I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor from a young age, but ophthalmology specifically was an epiphany about midway through medical school. I saw cataract surgery, somebody that couldn't see anything the day before, and within 24 hours that person was seeing almost 20/20. So that's addictive, and refractive surgery is just taking that to the next level. So cataract surgery is refractive surgery, and I do this to make people see better, and I love surgery, but I love seeing the results even more. So I've got a beautiful wife, two young children, 1 and 2, that hopefully will consider ophthalmology in the future. And we're going to see where this goes. We started a fellowship 4 or 5 years ago because we want to give back to the ophthalmology community, and I can't think of a better way of giving back than to help train the next level or the next ophthalmology or next refractive surgeons in the US and beyond. So yeah, refractive surgery is where it's at, man.
Man, I love it. And it was a privilege to be one of your fellows and to train with you. You mentioned cataract surgery is refractive surgery, right? And I remember when I was in residency, we had attendings and even senior residents that would make a distinction between that, right? And I remember just thinking wait, aren't we talking about the same thing? Like if I say refractive surgery, the response I would get is, oh no, that's LASIK, right? That's keratophractic. I was like, well, but if we're gonna go in and take care of this issue at the level of the lens, shouldn't we think about it from a refractive standpoint? So can you talk about kind of how you had this shift where refractive surgery is where it's at? Like how did you decide to kind of niche down in that part of ophthalmology?
Yeah, so I think it's really unfortunate that cataract surgery is not always seen as refractive surgery. And it's I was fortunate enough to have LASIK at the end of medical school by the Cornea Fellow at Washington University in St. Louis. And I went from a -4, miserable with glasses and contacts, to 2012 and now 2010, still 15 years later. And I see LASIK as an absolute miracle. It is the most research elective procedure in the world, and there's a reason. It's amazing what we can provide for our patients, and before I was thankful to have that myself. So how does cataract surgery fit into refractive surgery? So first of all, I love surgery. I love being in residency. I love doing cataract surgery. There's so much technique and so much that's involved in it. But I think that a lot of cataract surgery in the United States is not refractive because we're not finishing the job. We are removing the cataract, removing the lens. We are replacing with the lens that is pretty close. If we get within half a diopter or so, don't worry about cylinder. Medicare and insurance will pay for glasses afterward. And I think that's the wrong mentality. I think it's really unfortunate that only 15% of patients are getting refractive surgery at the time of cataract surgery.
Mhm.
There was a very interesting study that came out a few years ago, showing just the economic benefit of having refractive cataract surgery on the overall cost of health, or the overall cost of healthcare in the United States, and the number of falls that can be eliminated, the number of injuries, the hip injuries, the mortality and the morbidity that can be avoided with refractive cataract surgery, with multifocal optics, with extended depth of focus lenses, makes people safer. They're better drivers. They live a happier life, and they're less likely to get injured. So they're living better as a result of cataract surgery. So, whatever the refractive fee is in addition to cataract surgery, the ROI on that is so much beyond just a happier patient. It also is a happier and healthier patient, and we have the ability to do that. So I think the onus is on us as cataract surgeons to at least offer refractive cataract surgery. That doesn't mean that we have to use every technology, but at the very least, starting with a toric lens, getting rid of astigmatism, giving them the best possible vision. Some people we can do LRIs, AKs, we can use femto to really fine tune our results even further. So in residency, I hated whenever I had to prescribe glasses after cataract surgery, because I felt like I missed the mark. I didn't do perfectly, even if there was astigmatism, and even if it was absolutely impossible for me to fully get that refractive result, I felt that was a failure. And I wanted to go into medicine. I wanted to further my training so that I could eliminate glasses as much as possible, because I hated them. I'd gotten rid of them 15 years ago, and I hated to put them on a patient after I had done surgery on them.
Yeah, and what do you think? And I mean, I totally can relate to what you're saying. I think refractive surgery is a modern miracle. I had LASIK by you, actually, and it was a life-changing procedure. Absolutely, right? But what do you think it is about ophthalmologists in today's day and world that you know why is there such a hesitancy in adopting refractive surgery, right? Like, why do we still have that old mindset of, oh, it's close enough, glasses will cut it, and what is it going to take to really kind of create this mindset shift towards offering the patients the best that technology has to offer?
I mean, Dr. Shehzad, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, it is a real sea change in the way that doctors think, right? So we're trained throughout medical school and residency about billing and reimbursements and doing what is quote unquote indicated. Well, I would argue that if there's refractive error, that's the indication is to fix it. And I think in refractive surgery we talk about two reasons that patients do not move forward with vision correction: fear and finances. Well, I would argue that's no different than doctors not offering refractive surgery. There's fear of asking patients for money. So this is outside of medical insurance, fear of having that conversation, fear of not providing the results or that the patients want. And there are finances involved as well. We have to invest in femtosecond lasers, excimer lasers. We have to invest the time and training to learn how to properly manage different types of technology, whether it's the light adjustable lenses, the different types of multifocal lenses, reading topographies to make sure that we are providing, the best lenses and making sure that patients are truly a candidate for whatever technology we're offering. So it is not something that we can just show up and place a different lens and consider that refractive surgery. It requires time, effort, and to overcome the fear and the potential of financial burdens or restrictions to get there. So I think that almost any ophthalmologist can be a refractive surgeon. It's a mindset. It's a mindset of wanting to provide the best and doing what you need and doing whatever it takes to get a patient there. And that means, developing yourself.
Absolutely. Yes, you have this skill set that you develop, right? Where you can do really great things with technology and your skills as a surgeon, but then you have this entire skill set when it comes to your mind that needs to be developed as well. And I think entrepreneurship is a great exercise in developing that mindset. Just the mindset of being an entrepreneur and the philosophy that goes around it, that helps you combat some of those fears you've discussed, right? Like the fear of money and talking about money and finances with patients. Can you talk a little bit about how you were able to create and cultivate that mindset within yourself by learning about business and what it means to be an entrepreneur?
It's so funny you bring that up. There are, I think one of the biggest travesties in healthcare education in the United States is that there's no business training. I mean,
Right.
when I finished, you know, I went to a great medical school residency. I love my attendings, but I didn't know how to read a financial statement. I didn't know the first thing about business other than I knew that I wanted to be a business owner. I knew that I wanted to grow a practice, and to do that, I needed to understand quote unquote business, whatever that means. So, you know, what I did is I started researching where, what is how can I hone these skills that I know that are necessary to grow a refractive practice. Thankfully, I've been a member of the Refractive Surgery Alliance now for about 10 years. I'm very which is it's not which is exactly how old the RSA is. I wasn't the first member, but I was one of the first first people to be admitted, and I'm excited for that. One of the best things that the RSA has done is the creation of the physician CEO program out of Kellogg School of Management in Chicago. I was able to do that just a couple years out of training, and it is one of at the time I thought it was expensive, but I would argue that I have gotten an ROI 10 to 20 times what I spent on that just by putting in that time at the physician CEO. So no program can teach you everything, but what I love about this program is that it is tailored to ophthalmologists, tailored to doctors who are interested in growing a cash pay elective high-end premium practice, and it teaches you to ask the right questions. So within that year, I went from not knowing what I didn't know to now pretty much knowing what I don't know, and now being able to research whatever I need going forward.
See, I was going to ask you, aside from the granular things of reading financial statements and what exactly should be the marketing strategy to bring a product to market, aside from some of those things, what are some of the high level things that you learned that really shifted your mindset and how you thought, right, at a fundamental level? And I think you just addressed it. It teaches you any education system, if it's really, really good, it's going to teach you how to think, right? And how to ask the right questions. And so it sounds like that was really one of the biggest skill sets you gained from that. Can you talk a little bit about that from a high level perspective?
Yeah, of course. So before I went to medical school, I was an engineer. And the reason I bring that up is, like most engineers, we love to tinker, we love tools, but we aren't always necessarily focused on the problem. And so I think there are two things that I really took away from the physician CEO program at a high level beyond just the granular stuff. Number one is the importance of back calculation. So for example, it's nice to say, hey, I want to offer premium lenses. Well, you need to, instead of just saying, I want to have a refractive surgery practice, you have to look at what type of profit margin you want to have. How do you offer a multifocal IOL? And so in order to find out what you may have to charge and what it may take to implement that, and what that price point is going to be, you have to look at the cost of the lens, the cost of labor, the cost of your time. How much what is your enhancement rate going to be? What is your marketing cost going to be? And so all those need to add up to what you charge. And if you can't get that, if you cannot provide that value proposition to a patient, then you should move on to something else. So you can either achieve that, or you're losing money in every single case, and that's not how business works. That's how business fails. So, and it's not, you can take any product, any endeavor, and if you can add up the components and look at that final result and see if there's still a margin at the end, then it's something worth pursuing. If it's not, then it's either charity or it's just a money loser. So, and number two, there's so many forms of leadership out there, and we all naturally have good aspects and negative aspects to how our personality naturally approaches leadership. I am personally very collaborative, which is good in the sense that it can help bring a team together. But it's also a problem because if with too much collaboration, group think will not always go in the right direction. And so it is necessary to have somebody in charge to some degree, no matter what. So just to really understand, know thyself, know how you think, and to know what leadership books or for me, it helped me find the right leadership books, the right leadership mentors to make sure that I was an effective leader for my organization. And what I was not good at, I was able to find other people to help me do this. So for those who have not heard of the Entrepreneur Operating System, EOS, by Gino Wickman, I think that is an excellent place to start for somebody that wants a complement to your personality. So I'm more of a visionary. I love I have a million ideas, and implementation is always a bit more of a challenge. And I found my chief operating officer, who is my implementer, to, the two of us work together. I'm the gas, she's the brakes, and together we are able to move forward at an appropriate speed.
And so the EOS system sounds like it provides, I guess, strategies to figure out who or what complements your own personality and your own thinking style, so that those two things complementarily together can create the impact you're looking for in your business.
Absolutely. He uses the metaphor of rocket fuel. Neither component works well together, but together you can create a rocket to blast off into space. And I know you love space. So.
I was just gonna say, man, there's a reason you chose that analogy.
Sir.
I love it, man. So speaking of leadership books, right? I know when I was at your practice, you had mentioned tons of books that were immensely impactful in just how I developed myself as a leader and an entrepreneur. One of those was Blue Ocean Strategies, right? By I think that was Chan Kim. I've picked your brain on this a little bit, right? There's Red Ocean, and so there's a lot of competition in that type of a market, and then there's a Blue Ocean strategy where you want to be a first mover in a market where it isn't as saturated, and that requires focus, right? As entrepreneurs, I mean, I'll speak for myself, man. I got shiny object syndrome, right? I'm like all over the place, and the next thing that the next thing that looks, kind of interesting, I gravitate towards. And so, can you talk a little bit about that book and the principles it teaches about focusing, right? And picking a market and a strategy to go with it that is focused and is niche enough where there isn't a lot of competition, where you can really make some moves. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to give a shout out to Dan Dury, my fellowship director from 10 years ago. This was one of the first books that he recommended that I read. And at first, I thought he was crazy. I was there to learn how to be a refractive surgeon. And he's throwing out these business books to me, and I can tell you that that was the beginning of me opening my eyes to what business was, to what refractive surgery was, and what it meant to operate an organization or within an organization at a high level. So when I think of the Blue Ocean strategy, I think of two real takeaways. Number one, your business is more about what you don't do than what you do. And number two, unless you have unlimited resources and you're independently wealthy, it is much easier to start a business within a segment that has less competition than one where there's a lot. Take for example presbyopia. They're one of the revenue streams that has really helped us grow the practice. What it is today is refractive lens exchange or custom lens replacement, and it is an entirely new segment. There are plenty of LASIK doctors out there. There are plenty of cataract doctors out there, and we could have quote unquote competed and worked within that market. But what there wasn't was a great solution for the age of 48 to 45 to around 60 to 65. And we started with the camera inlay. We placed the most camera inlays in the United States. Pros and cons to that. But there are thankfully better solutions now, namely the custom lens replacement or RLE. And that market is simply untapped. There is so much education that can be done. And frankly, I welcome competition at this point because I would love help getting the word out as to that there is a solution for this. So I think it's a travesty that people are walking around with readers and bifocals. I'm 42. I don't have presbyopia yet, but I know it's just around the corner, and I am sure as heck going to get an RLE in the coming years.
Man, one of the things I love about the way you think is just this like abundance mentality, right? Like you just said it. At this point, I welcome competition, right? And, when you think of business, when you think of entrepreneurship, you think of competition. But, there's a healthy way to approach competition. And then there's kind of a way that just, is not serving you, your patients, or anybody else in your community. Right. And just since you mentioned it, I just want to get your kind of 2 cents on how you view competition.
Well, Shez, I think you nailed it there. There's good competition and bad competition. When I think of bad competition, I think of a race to the bottom. I think
Mm,
of companies or practices competing on just price. Offering, $1,000 off, $1,500 off, 20% off, just seeing who can really just be that best car salesman and sell the lowest price of something that is just a commodity. And I would
mm,
argue that if you as a surgeon are offering just a commodity, that is it is a negative for you and your practice, because it's a we I know there's so many phenomenal ophthalmologists out there that are underselling them. There's so many ophthalmologists out there that are underselling themselves just by competing on price. When I know that they produce phenomenal results, they have to show that value proposition. They have to transfer that confidence to the patient. And by just saying, "Hey, I'm the lowest price," or "I'm going to undercut the next guy by X, Y, and Z," you are undercutting not only yourself but also the industry as a whole. So there's plenty of that out there, and unfortunately, with sometimes in reimbursed medicine, there is only one way to compete, and that's on price. I'm sorry, let's take that out. But and unfortunately, in some parts of medicine, there's only one. In some businesses, there is only one way to compete on price, and that's on price. But we as refractive surgeons have the opportunity to look at different segments of the market, to focus on untouched markets like presbyopia. Realize that someone down the street can help you grow. That person's marketing is going to produce more education for the market, and the two practices together can have a greater whole than either one of its parts.
man, that is, I don't think there's a business school that can teach you that, right? That abundance mentality. A lot of people operate from a place of scarcity, and I think again that's a detriment to you and the people that you have vowed to serve. How do you take that mindset and apply it to your personal life and just the way that you live your life, right? At a philosophical level. So not to get like too deep and philosophical, but you know, beyond just like this conventional definition of entrepreneurship, right? What does being an entrepreneur signify to you on a personal level? And how do you take these types of lessons or mindsets, like having a mindset of abundance and not scarcity, like having a mindset of unity, right? How do you take that to your personal life?
So this is absolutely philosophical, but I I'm now at the ripe age of, again, 42, in my early 40s. I realize that I'm probably about halfway through my life, and at the end of my life, I want to be able to say that I have given more to this world, to this community, to this society than I've taken. And I think that this is not something that happens at any given time. This is a daily approach. Every single day, I want to be able to give, to provide, to do well in this world, to do good in this world. And I can't tell you how many times that has come back and helped me. Anything from, doing everything from giving somebody a discount, taking care of a patient that was in need. When I say a discount for somebody that absolutely needed it.
Yeah.
From helping a person, taking a call from a doctor, from giving a talk for free. I mean, it's you should not sell yourself short. You should not give away your services, because I do believe in a market-based economy. But every single day there is somebody in need. There's something that you can do to make somebody's day better, and just by you caring, by you showing that you care, you are going to help somebody, and that person is going to show that care to somebody else, or is at least more likely to. So I think that we are coming out of a challenging time. There's a lot more anxiety after COVID, with the advent of certain social medias. And even though I think that is a net benefit, I think that human connection is lost to some degree. And I love that you're doing this, because you're bringing people together with this podcast. And if we can use this as a way to help people, I think it's only going to do better.
Thanks, man. That's a beautiful perspective. Where does that value system come from, you think, of wanting to give more than you take? Yeah, where does that come from?
So, I certainly came from a religious background, and that certainly started those feelings and that philosophy early in life. I think it's also just life experience. I cannot think of a single time where doing wrong by somebody has done anything other than provide a short-term benefit and than anger. I think the best businesses out there, since this is a business podcast,
Yeah.
provide win-win scenarios. And I think that if it's simply one-sided or a zero-sum game, it's not a business that's going to thrive. There's a reason that Gen Z and millennials really care about the mission of a company. I feel like, millennials have been the millennials were the most educated generation of all time, and Gen Z is probably going to be the same. And that they know the importance of not just providing a product, but to have a mission as well. So, we became doctors for a reason. We became refractive surgeons for a reason. Yeah, what I we have a set of core values in our practice, and the number one is we give a rip or we care. And if we are not providing that care, we're not living that mission. Profit is absolutely important, but profit is number two. We are going to care, we are going to take care of people, but we're going to make money somehow. But that is at that back calculation, where we provide that care,
Mm.
and we'll back calculate on how we need to make a profit at the end.
People over profits, man. That's what I learned when I was at your organization. And I think that the biggest thing that I have realized is that it's not a zero sum game. You can do well and you can do good at the
100%.
same time. And entrepreneurship is the vehicle that allows you to do that, right? The reason I'm asking you these questions is because just like I believe this wholeheartedly, right? That your business is an extension of who you are as a person, right? You have a set of core values that you live by, and the thing that you're going to put your name on is an extension of that, right? And so operating from this perspective of I want to give more than I take, and there's plenty to go around, right? And let's figure out how we can take care of people first. And if we're really, really, really good at that, the money will follow. You know, that is not just a thinking that is applied in the business world. I think that is a mindset that people like yourself live on a day-to-day basis, right? That's how you live your life, and it shows. So I just want to acknowledge that.
I appreciate that. I think that is where business education is so important, because we've all, we don't want to start a business and live on a prayer, right?
Right.
We all have a mission. We
Yeah.
all have a mission that we believe in, but we need that process that we need the process, and we need the operations to get there. And there are plenty of businesses that have failed. There are practices that have failed. There have been a lot of LASIK practices actually that have failed over the last 20 years. In fact, the majority of LASIK only practices have failed in the last 20 years. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? What I would argue that it's not because doctors didn't want to have a good product. It's not that they stopped providing care. I would argue that the operations and the value and the everything else did not match up, or did not allow that mission to continue. Yeah, there was a decline in LASIK in 2008, and it's never fully recovered. There's still plenty of refractive surgery out there. There's still plenty of people who want to see well, and it's up to us to show that value, to create that value proposition for patients, and to really, really, you know, not only show that, but also deliver. So there are millions of eyes out there, millions of people that want to do better, and there's never been a better time to be a refractive surgeon.
Man, I couldn't agree more. And I'm so glad that, that there are people like you out there who are really sort of, charting this territory and setting an example for people like myself, right? To follow. So thank you for that. Just a couple more things that I really want to hit on. And, this is kind of a cliche thing, but I think everyone sort of has something, and you know, I can already kind of tell what it might be for you. But what has been, in your view, kind of like your, sort of secret sauce, if you will, right, to your success as an entrepreneur and everything that you've been able to do with ClearSight LASIK? What has that been for you?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you brought up the blue ocean strategy. It's a one of our operating goals is to find what hasn't been done and to do it better, to do it great, or to do it well. So we are always looking for new ideas. We're looking for new technology. There is absolutely some, I do believe that there is a euphoria that goes along with new technology, where there's an excitement. Maybe this is going to be the next greatest thing, but I think what I've learned in the last 5 to 10 years where I've been burned is that euphoria needs to be backed up with data, and
Mm.
there are plenty of problems that have not been solved yet. We saw a need in presbyopia, and we found a way to meet that need. It took us a while to make it to the level that we are, but we never stopped until we found the ultimate solution for every single patient. And I mean, there's a flow diagram as to who gets what, and it's I mean, I'm sure that I know that we're going to keep iterating, but we have gotten to a place where I feel very confident for the vast majority of our patients that come through the door that they're going to get whatever the best is on the market.
Mm.
Now, it's not just presbyopia. There are other problems out there in refractive surgery. There are, we've all heard, we all know that the dry eye is only growing, due to screens and diet
Absolutely.
and other environmental issues. So that's another avenue that a refractive surgeon or somebody looking for to solve a problem to solve an unmet need would be to go. I would even argue that cataract surgery in some ways is a blue ocean, because only 15% of patients are getting a premium IOL of some kind, and at least half of those are torics. So there have been plenty of studies that show that at least 50% of patients are willing to pay for some sort of refractive upgrade. That's a huge delta, a huge blue ocean where you can be the refractive person within cataract surgery. So until that willingness to pay, which is a business term, is met, this is not a zero-sum game. We are only going to help each other by really growing that market.
Mm. Overall, really, really good thoughts. I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, and he's got this question that I really like that I want to pose to you. If Dr. Luke could just kind of, put his message on a big billboard, right, for everyone to see, what would that be? What would it be that you would want our viewers or whoever is it that you want to speak to? What would that billboard sponsored by Dr. Luke say? It could be about anything, not just business.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you recommending the book in fellowship, and I did read it, and I appreciate appreciate that.
I gave you a heads up, man.
No, I know. I would argue that if I could put a billboard out there, it's that nobody is perfect. But I will promise that whether it's in relationships, whether it's in business, whether it's in any other aspect of life, I promise to you that I will give it my all. I will care. I will go big or go home. And if I can't, I'll tell you. So caring and honesty.
Caring and honesty. I love it. And it takes a lot of humility, right? To acknowledge that, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm going to screw up. I'm going to make mistakes. But what I can promise you is that the intention and the effort is going to be there, right? It takes a lot of humility to say that. And that's who I know you as, right? You are, I think, the epitome of humility. That's what I learned from you when I was training under you. So thanks for saying that. Is there anything else you would like our viewers to know, or any parting advice, thoughts before we conclude?
Yeah. Shez, I think you said it even better. Like, humility is so important, but I think hunger is too. And
Mm.
I think that there's a lot of complacency out there in the sense that not in a negative sense, but because just I think there's a fear that, or a feeling that the world is stacked against you. And I would argue that there's so much opportunity out there if you just are willing to look for it. And we all have a passion. I can tell you that every single person has a passion for something, and it is absolutely worth pursuing. Life is short, and unless you are pursuing that passion in some degree, life is going to be much longer. And frankly, I think that a fulfilling life is going to seem short because you enjoyed it so much along the way. So find your passion, be humble along the way, and you're going to have a phenomenal life.
Man, and that's beautiful, and that is the message that you gave to me in our final days working together. You were super supportive of me pursuing my passions, and that's how I remember you, right? That this is someone who is going to support me and be in my corner, and I want to thank you for that. So I appreciate you for who you are and what you've done. Thank you so much, Dr. Luke, for joining us today and talking about entrepreneurship and the various aspects of it. We appreciate it very much. I also want to take a moment to thank our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you. We can't do what we do without you. If you like the podcast, if you like the conversation, please share it with your friends and on social media. And don't forget to write us a review. Till we meet again next time, I wish all of you an amazing week ahead. And thanks again, Dr. Luke, for your time.
Thank you, Shez. All the best.
Connect with Dr. Shez at visionarydoc.com.